The pills are beans and buttons. The Visine or the iMix is monkey juice.
Smack, dog food, boy.
Dog food, Aunt Hazel.
H, fire. They're not gonna say, the word heroin over the phone.
Death could come in a little bag like this. This is a stamp bag that a user would buy on the street. It's about 15 bucks for 1/10 of a gram of heroin, about the size of your fingernail. So what is this drug they call dog food? What's it look like? And how does it get here? And are kids really using needles to shoot it?
So heroin was developed in the late 1800s by a pharmaceutical company called Bayer. It was supposed to be a pain reliever like Bayer aspirin or whatever. Heroin got to the street because as an opiate, it had such a high degree of potency that pretty quickly people preferred it to morphine. And the company realized it was going to be very hard to sell it safely, so they tried to pull it off the market. But it's so close to morphine as a substance that it just immediately went to the black market.
Heroin comes from the pod of the poppy plant before it blooms, like this one. Our heroin is coming from poppies grown in Afghanistan. The pod is scored with a very sharp knife, and the gum that oozes out is dried, processed, and turned into pure deadly heroin.
This is the exact size of a kilogram. It would be, for those on the American system, it'd be about 2.2 pounds. And this would come in, it would be made in a lab somewhere in Mexico and compressed. If you feel it, they call it a brick, and it really is as hard as a brick. I mean, it's a very hard substance. This kilogram of heroin on the streets of Cleveland would cost you somewhere between $65,000 to $85,000 for this 1 kilogram. So if you do the math, the dealer gets this heroin at that type of purity, breaks it down, cuts it with a whole host of things.
They could cut it with basically anything, and a lot of it could be deadly. Rat poison.
They can take this kilogram and maybe make as many as 8 to 9, selling it on the street for as much as $150 a gram.
So what am I looking at?
This was purchased in Cleveland. This is what they call a stamp bag. They would put a piece in there, which could be up to a gram. It'd be $100 to $125 per gram. They're claiming the purity levels are very, very high.
What's in this bag?
Stamps, these are a little bit larger than stamps. This has skeleton heads on it. So they'll take these small stamps, wrap 10 of them up, and wrap them in the rubber band, and that makes it easy to exchange. Very small in your hand, very easily exchanged back and forth on a hand-to-hand transaction. Paraphernalia stores and head shops, you can purchase them. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 packets. A dealer could probably get $700 plus for what's here. The most popular Percocet right now is what they call the 10 325 milligram.
Heroin bound for Northeast Ohio typically comes from Afghanistan, across the Mexican border, and through big cities like Chicago. Sometimes it's sent by mail, or sometimes by person.
It comes in via a process we call body carry. They're called heroin fingers. They're really about as big as my thumb lengthwise and maybe twice the size around. It's nothing to have seen this in someone's rectal area, or somebody swallows it, or women put it in another area. It's usually wrapped in a condom or in a balloon. And this has been in somebody's body for 48 to 72 hours until it crosses the border from Mexico into the United States and then into the hands of a dealer somewhere.
We have 22 active drug cartels working the state of Ohio. And what's scary is they're now starting to work down to 7th and 8th graders.
Plenty of guys that are hooking up over Facebook.
These traffickers will deliver to the western suburbs for a cost of gas money similar to someone delivering pizzas.
It's nothing for a carload of kids to ride from the suburbs, good communities, Independence, Seven Hills, Parma, pool their money together, buy a bunch of heroin, take it back to the suburbs, and then sell it for more than what they bought it for in the city.
The youngest heroin users I've seen are 11 and 12. The average age, though, is probably closer to 17.
34. I'm 36 now. I started this when I was 27, as I started the heroin when I was 27.
Yes, people have used heroin in many different ways that all try to get the heroin absorbed quicker without necessarily using a needle and running the risk of HIV or hepatitis C.
I snorted. That's it.
I didn't start sniffing. I went right for the needle.
They do it in their wrists. They'll do it in their feet.
On first look, it just looked like I worked hard. But these are all track marks in my hands.
We've also heard it can be laced into a cigarette or marijuana joint.
So if you hear the terms buttons or beans, that's heroin in pill form. The other one is now something called monkey juice. and they're taking liquid heroin and mixing it with Visine or other saline-based eye drops. And 2 drops in the eye, and you get rapid absorption through the eye membrane, and it's an instantaneous high, or they're using it like nasal spray.
Today's addict has choices. Heroin comes in pills and eye drops. It can be smoked or snorted, but old school is still the fastest guaranteed high, the needle and the spoon, mixed with bottled water and filtered with cotton balls, Q-tips, or cigarette filters. But no matter how it's used, addiction is practically guaranteed.
Multiple times a day I'd wake up and use. It was all I could think about. I did anything and everything to get high. I didn't sleep ever. That's all I did until I got caught.